Morning, my dear students. So today we are going to discuss on the important topic, which is nothing but the intrapreneurship. So before getting into that, first we need to have understanding what is that intrapreneur. Entrepreneur is nothing but who's doing the business independently. So intrapreneur is a term has been coined long back and is being used in the corporate world. So today we are going to discuss on what is that and what is the difference between intrapreneur and manager, as well as the multiple role which is being played in the organization and what is the difference between that role with the intrapreneur. So this the definition goes like this: a person with a large corporation who takes direct responsibility for turning an idea into profitable finished product through assertive risk taking and innovation. So the person who has basically a kind of entrepreneur skills and who can bring the profit to the organization, his her innovative idea. So that's person is being called as an entrepreneur. So this entrepreneur basically they'll be having an entrepreneur skills blended with the managerial skills, but they'll be operating the constraints of the organization. So that's the definition goes like this. So, what is the difference between entrepreneur and the entrepreneur? Now, in terms of funding, so the company or an organization often has a capital to fund the project. So, when you talk about an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur has to find his or her own source to run the company, or they need to get the source from a different people, or they need to approach. But here, when you talk about an entrepreneur, the company is the one where he or she is working. So they will provide the capital fund for the project that they are going to undertake. And the manpower. So the entrepreneurs do not have to worry about finding the talent and get the task performed because the company itself will supply the necessary resources, the manpower is being essential for completing the project, so they will supply it. But an entrepreneur, uh, they need to identify the manpower. So that's a difference. And branding. So entrepreneur can use the branding of a company or organization to get their ideas to take to the road. So since entrepreneur has the facility, something like already the company has a brand name. So that brand name can be utilized for their developing the idea and take to the next level. So that is the biggest advantage when you go for an entrepreneur, right? So this is the definition goes like this for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are dreamers who do, those who take hands-on responsibility for creating innovation of any kind within an organization. So that person is being called as an entrepreneur. There is another definition which goes like this: the entrepreneur is an essential ingredient in every innovation. Because without an innovation, the company cannot withstand for the longer duration. So where the entrepreneurs become essential part of any of the organization. Right? So what are the causes for interest in entrepreneurship? The individual who believes strongly in their own talents frequently decide to create something of their own. So basically, every individual have a dream to bring something innovation. So when they want to do so, they need to have a support system. So that support system need to get from the organization. So that is where the entrepreneurs are being born. But many of them do not get it because there are a lot of constraints. So they want the responsibility and have a strong need for individual expressions and more freedom in their present organizational structure. So since their ideas are unique and they want to have a kind of a freedom to be given from the organization to flourish, but that will not happen in many of the organizations. So one of the key reasons something like no freedom. So if there is no freedom, the frustration at work and become less productive, and they'll be leaving the organization to achieve self-actualization elsewhere. So the person will look out for a freedom to work on it if they are not getting it. So automatically the frustration will come at the workplace, and they will not work. When they are not working, it's become less productive. And at some point of time, they'll be leaving the organization and it'll be a loss for the organization. But these persons, since they have a skill set, they will go somewhere else to find out where they can flourish. So that is one of the major causes for an entrepreneurship in an organization. And the second one, the resistance against flexibility, growth, and diversification can in part of be overcome by developing the spirit of uh, entrepreneurship within the existing organization called entrepreneurship. So there are companies, they have kind of they look out for an flexibility, they look out for growth and diversification. So that should be their part of the organization, and only those kind of organizations can uh, get many entrepreneurs in their organization. And this has been increased due to hyper competitions, both at home and abroad, to increase the interest in such areas as new product development, diversification, and increased productivity. So now, as you know, that the environment is very dynamic, and the people look out for a different kind of products, innovative products. When they want an innovative products, they basically look out for a person with an on skills. So those persons only can bring out that innovation and create ideas to the organization, and through them, that particular organization will develop further. So that's why obviously they need to go for providing a kind of a support for entrepreneurship among the organization. Right? So why the organization should embrace entrepreneurs? Number one, corporate entrepreneurship and creating the appropriate culture. Because as the innovation is the key, they need to create a culture among the employees so that only the company will develop. And corporate venture, and they need to uh, give the kind of training so that they need to get the support from the organization. So basically, they need to have a VC support, that is venture capital support, and sponsoring independent entrepreneurs. So they need to identify the potentials, and based on that, they need to go for sponsor and ask them to work on. And management as champions of innovations. So the management should be the champions of innovations. So that is where the entrepreneurs are being uh, created in those kind of organization. Right. So what are the different kind of activities being essential to kindle the or nurture the entrepreneurial in the organization? So number one, spotting the ways to improve service and save time, money, and make life easier. So, and once the entrepreneur is there, so they'll be having a lot of innovative ideas, and through that they can able to save a lot of time, and they will be saving a lot of money, and make it much easier, and they'll be giving the improved service to the customer. And third thing is they'll be visualizing variations of current product or services, because whatever the product or service being existing in the market, there might be some flaws. So to overcome that, these entrepreneurs are being essential, and they can bring out an innovative products to the organization, and realizing the new communication avenues with the customers. And second one is they need to identify the customer pulse. That's more important, where these entrepreneurs, with their creative and innovative ideas, they can uh, know the pulse of the customers, and accordingly they can go for refining the products or creating new products, their organization, and enhancing the quality. Always the customer will look out for a quality. So where quality has become essential for any of the products being sustained in the market. So that is where these entrepreneurs are going to be an essential part of the organization, and new ways to get the job done quicker or smarter. So they know how to get the work done. So since already they have a creative brain, so with that they will make the team work and bring out the innovative products to the organization. So these are all the different kind of ways the entrepreneurs you can bring out from the organization. So how does the business benefit out of these entrepreneurs? The firms which create a competitive advantage by discovering a new and better ways to compete in industry, and bringing them to the market. So where they have the entrepreneurs in their organization, so they will bring the product which is in a competitive product, and that product can be taken to the market, and then they can flourish into the market. An enterprise that does not daily innovate inevitably ages declines. So as already mentioned, the beginning of it, the company, if they want to grow in the market, they need to keep innovate every day. So as an entrepreneur, they have that kind of a mindset, and with that they can bring a lot of innovation to the organization. So that's the key. In that way, it is going to benefit the business. And even in a successful business, the disease of bureaucracy and complexity is dangerous. So the successful business, if you see that they'll keep innovating every day, and if it is not keep innovating, then the company will fall down one day. So that's more important. These are the ways that the business will be benefit. They are encouraging the entrepreneurs in the organization. So with that, I'm winding up the topic. So thank you.